What is up, everybody? This is Alex from IHE TV. Today I'm talking about the Josh Safdie, only one Safdie in this one, Marty Supreme. I was a little bit concerned if this was going to be like a Coen brothers splitting up situation, but it seems like they're simply more interesting working together. And then The Smashing Machine I didn't love from Just Benny. You can see my review on the channel if you want to hear my thoughts on that movie. But that's not to throw Benny to the side. The Curse is a great show. But Marty Supreme is a period piece set in the 50s about Marty, a ping pong player. When you look at the listings of this film on cinema websites and stuff, and it says the genre, it says like sport movie, but this is not your typical sports movie. This is still very much a Josh Safdie movie, chaotic, anxious, energetic, and way more of a character study than simply a sports movie. If we're talking about a setting or a character or person, I think this is loosely based on a real person. Don't know how accurate it is. I doubt it's that accurate. But the creative license, the commentary and impact it can have, juxtaposing all these strange, confusing, stylistic choices that on paper might not seem like they'd work. Having 80s music set in the 50s, providing commentary on like 2025, the work to live, hustle culture in America that presides to this day. Of course, combined with, as I'm recording this, I'm listening on Spotify to the original soundtrack by Daniel Lopatin. Hope that's how you say his last name. Amazing. So good, complements it so well. And it was the satirical comedic side that really won me over with this quite quickly. I don't know what is wrong with I think it's just my area. Whenever I see movies that have great comedy in, like my audiences never laugh. When I was laughing consistently through this, I thought it was funny, fucked up, satirical. I'm watching this anti-hero character who is spiraling, basically. So obsessed with himself, this intense narcissism and perceived greatness. And it's not like he's not great at ping pong, but the idea of the way he uses people and able to try and reach his goals of being recognized worldwide as the best American ping pong player, or table tennis as he likes to correct people. But this idea of a character that is always picking the worst decision for themselves is not new territory for this director. Uncut Gems is very much cut from the same cloth, and I do think I slightly prefer it because of that kind of disgusting fatalism. It's one of the most anxiety-inducing films I've ever seen, I think. But Marty Supreme has a bit more of a hopefulness or heart to it, propped up by how gut-bustingly funny it is at points. This is already joining the pantheon of films that people love to misinterpret. Your Fight Clubs, Wolf of Wall Streets, where people seem to be taking away some interesting things from it. I'll do a little spoiler section towards the end, but I'm not going to go too long on this because I'm going to cover this on the next Sardonicast in more detail, and we're all going to have slightly different opinions, which should be nice to contrast. But I think the point of the movie makes itself quite clear from its title sequence, which is brilliant for the record. It's hilarious and a great visual metaphor for the entire movie. It's something I've always found so fascinating about Americans, where this work ethic, this drive, this idea that you gotta be hustling, it's about you and your own success, and it doesn't matter who you scam or fuck over to get to where you need to be, even if that need in your head doesn't even make logical sense or causes way more pain than pleasure. One of the aspects I really adored about the movie were the bit characters, in kind of a Coen brothers way, where someone might be in a scene once or twice for mere seconds, and they'll feel real. That doesn't feel glammed up Hollywood. All these different body types and accents and type of people. It grounds the story in a way that really makes the intensity of the way it builds extremely effective. Thought Tim Cham did an excellent job as the lead character. Kind of carries the film on his back, despite how good every technical element is. It is his story. He provides a lot of the complexity and depth and charisma that a character like this needs to have in order to have the plot weave in the way it does. And the way the plot moves is very unpredictable and fun. There aren't training montages, there aren't the sports movie cliches. And that's not to say that the sportsmanship element is not entertaining or well produced. The actual scenes of ping pong are fantastic. And like a Challengers or something, or Whiplash, tennis or drumming, and now ping pong, all a great packaging, a great framing, metaphorically to kind of visualize what the film is going for and give it some kind of action or conflict. The film never lingers despite how long it is. It doesn't feel like it's taking the piss out of your time. And by the end of it, this poster is a good summation of the characters you kind of feel are important or fleshed out and how they relate to Marty and his story here. With my favorite triangle in the movie probably being the one between Marty, Gwyneth Paltrow, and her husband. In this grotesque way, they're all kind of using each other. And the way these various plots intertwine, I found to be anxious and chaotic in a way that made it an exciting watch that is sticking with me. This was a few days ago now, and it's only growing in my head, which is a good sign. I'm going to talk a couple spoilers now, so I don't really think you need to be sold on the movie. Go see it on the biggest screen possible while you still have the chance. Easily one of the better films of 2025. So yeah, spoilers. I just want to talk a little bit about that ending and talking about interpretations and I think it leaves it somewhat open, even though I think Josh Safdie has confirmed that ending in a GQ interview or something that I haven't read. But just before the baby moment, his anticlimactic win, by anticlimax I mean the character is framed as having this big win against his quote-unquote rival that you lost to once, but how kind of deflating it is from the audience's perspective to see the character win this kind of meaningless event. It's like a sponsor, nothing. It's not an official championship. It doesn't mean anything. So it creates an interesting dynamic in that scene where you're rooting for him in a weird anti-hero kind of way, even though he's an asshole and he's manipulated everyone to get to where he is, and he's abandoning his pregnant, do you even call her a girlfriend? I don't even know what they are. I guess what I'm trying to say is it's emotionally complicated, but doesn't feel like a typical, oh, they lose in the first act, they build themselves up in the second act, and then win in the third. He gets a win of sorts in his own bubble. He's not winning the championship, he's not actually doing what he set out to do at the beginning of the movie. And having it be ping pong, like nothing against ping pong, but there is something inherently funny about that being the game that he's so committed to. It's the ongoing through line joke of the movie. And so yeah, after he gets his small win and catches that ride back to America from Japan and sees his baby, and you get that wonderful performance of him reacting to his baby being held through the glass. I feel like I need to see it again in order to have a stronger conclusion as to what I think that ending means. It kind of is like a Whiplash type ending where it's almost left up to interpretation as far as, is this a win? Is this a grounding moment for him? Is this some point of him starting to change or being humbled by something? Or is it a bit more complicated? Is there a bit more selfishness to it? Is that his face of his dreams dying, or a harsh, cold slap to the face? The fact that I'm thinking about this and mulling it over and reading all these different interpretations, I think is a sign often of a great movie. And I'd be very curious to hear, for those who've seen it, how that washed over for you and how you felt the character was, or how the film was positioning that as a full stop. Honestly, the more I'm talking about this, the more I'm remembering how much I enjoyed it and all these little parts and details like that Holocaust survivor who he did the tricks with, and the contrast with him being this kind of altruistic character with his story about the honey and how it's the complete inverse of Marty. Yeah, the set designs, the costumes, the shot variety, there's so many awkward, uncomfortable close-ups, unique tone. Thought Tyler was really good. That sequence with the bathtub really got me good. And that mixture of comedy and violence and crime, it's so intense. I really don't have any major complaints about this, outside of needing to see it again to get a more solid interpretation of what the film is trying to say overall about what is justified, what's absurd, what is the true meaning in his life, because it seems like they're saying that parenthood has a lot more consequence and meaning than the selfish goal of being the ping pong champion at everyone else's cost. But I also don't think it's writing off the negative aspects of the character. He's presented as someone that is an asshole, scams everyone he knows, and these are the complex character studies that I want to see cinema utilized for, not these Bohemian Rhapsody puff pieces or what that Michael Jackson movie looks to be like. This is a much more interesting approach to the biopic based on a real person type of filmmaking. Yeah, this was excellent. I'd recommend it to anyone, and I gave this a very solid 4 stars with a like. I'd happily watch this again. Might go up on a rewatch. So let me know your thoughts on Marty, and I'll see you on the next vid. Bye!